Welcome to Tech Topics brought to you by Cybervenger. We help keep small businesses stay protected and compliant with cutting-edge cybersecurity and IT solutions.
Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Andy. I'm the managing consultant for Cybervenger. Today we're going to talk a little bit about an interesting topic, I think. It's the psychology of risk assessments and security. So risk assessments, what is that? Well, when you try to figure out what you're defending against, you start to realize that there's a limitless sea of potential problems that can happen, an unending list of things that you have to worry about. And in fact, that's kind of where I've seen people bury their head in the sand about security. They're like, oh God, if they want it, they're going to get it. There's nothing I can do to stop it. It's unstoppable. There's threats, bad guys all over the place. But the thing is, not every threat is created equal. Some threats are trivial in scope. They're not a big deal. I mean, if a spam message gets through and you see an advertisement for, I don't know, hand lotion and you don't care, I mean, the consequence, that's next to nothing, even though the likelihood is pretty high. So that's not a threat you worry about. Likewise, I guess an asteroid could land on planet Earth and end all life, but I mean, you could do nothing about that. So that one you ignore because that's extremely unlikely, even though the consequence is really hard. So on and so forth. So when you do an evaluation, when you try to figure out where you're going to spend your resources, your time, your money, and your mental bandwidth, it's easy to exhaust yourself mentally when you think about security. So it's important to budget your efforts on the things that are most likely to happen, balanced with largest damage. So you kind of think of sort of like multiplication, right? You got two variables. You multiply the severity times the likelihood. And then you take the biggest number and you rank them by that. So the things that are not very likely to happen, but big in potential, still have some weight because they're a big bad thing that can happen, but they're not that likely. You got to go with that exercise, and you have to really think it through when you have to try and be objective about it. You have to try and use numbers, get expert opinion, really take your time with that, because people are very bad at estimating risk. They're very bad at perceiving threats. Quite frankly, and I hope my audience here doesn't mind me getting a little political, but I think people tend to worry about the wrong things. We tend to be afraid, to feel fear about things that actually aren't that dangerous. And things that are really a danger that you could do something about, we kind of ignore. So let me give you an example. October 4th, 2023, I know I'm a day late to comment on this whole thing. There was a national test of the emergency broadcast system. All of our phones bleeped and blooped and got message popped up, test warning, and the radio stations did the same. And for me, this was a non-event. It was a mild annoyance that my phone's buzzing. And which is that is interesting because I have Graphene OS. I don't have Google. I'm not entirely sure how they push that pop up, but I digress. But really, it's a non-event, right? It's basically the government spamming us. Spam is a low impact problem. Now, phishing attempt, that's different, but just plain old spam trying to get you buy junk that you don't care about, that's a pretty low impact event. I mean, is it common? Is it likely? Yeah, but it doesn't really do anything, so I don't care. But I had more calls from customers, from friends, from people I know, going, oh my God, have you heard about this? They're all up in arms and they're very deeply afraid that the government can reach out and touch all our phones and pop them up all at once, whether we want to be part of this or not. And this is actually a pretty decent thing. I mean, you want to be alerted if there's a big national emergency. I mean, God forbid, knock on wood, we'll never have a worldwide nuclear war or something. But if we did, we'd want to be know about it right away. And so, I mean, it's not that big a deal, but people were afraid of it. And it brings to the front of the mind that the government can touch all our devices, even though we're all well aware for the last decade, it's come to our attention that the NSA and other bureaus of the United States government are monitoring a whole lot more about our personal lives, devices, and data and communication than we ever thought. It was the plot of movies in the 80s and 90s that we'd had this kind of observation and monitoring. And we all kind of tongue-in-cheek thought this, but we had proof, for the last 10 years. So we all know that big corporations can see a lot of our data and do track us in ways that we don't like, and there's a debate about that. But it's really collectively met with a giant yawn. And then this test panicked people for some reason. I'm not even really sure why. Maybe people just don't really understand or think about the implications of this kind of data tracking that we have in our society. We live in a surveillance society, for good or for bad, and there's data all over the place, and we preach it all the time. When you have data, it's your duty as a professional to safeguard that data so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. And that's becoming a theme that's become a recurring mantra that we're all speaking in this industry, both IT and corporate America in general. And that's good. It's a very good conversation, but nobody's really panicking about that, even though the capacity to see what we're doing and track us and to violate our privacy by the government, by private organizations, by foreign governments. I mean, I don't want to know what China knows about me. I'd probably not sleep at night. But I mean, there's a lot of data out there and a lot of people watching it and collecting it and doing Lord knows what with it. We have privacy policies, but that's only good where American law actually takes effect and where people abide by the law and, and get caught if they don't. And we know this already. It's already here, and we don't take action. We ignore it. That's a real threat, and we don't take action. And then we have the emergency broadcast, and then it's not really a threat, and we do get all up in arms, and. So I guess the point of this video is you should make sure that you nudge your emotions, your fear emotion, to where it belongs. Be afraid, as in take act, do something about things that are genuinely a threat that can actually do damage, that are at least somewhat likely, and in order of likelihood, and that you can do something about. We can't really do anything about a nuclear war. If it happens, it happens. We can't do anything about an asteroid, the sun exploding, things like that. But we certainly can do small things like change our password regularly, use two-factor authentication. If you're not using two-factor authentication for everything, shame on you. Come on, it's 2023. Do that. And there's all kinds of things to talk about on this channel that you can do to help protect yourself. Stuff the average person can actually do that will actually make a difference and reduce their exposure. Cut out 90% of the bad guys out there from getting their data, and people don't. There's a kind of an apathy there. So next time you're worried that Big Brother is watching all your data, yes, you're right. They are. But there are a lot of other folks that you could stop. Worry about the things that you can control. Don't so much worry about the things you can't. And worry about the things that are going to harm you, not the ones that aren't. Take a deep breath and think through logically. And I think people will spend their energy securing things in a much more wiser fashion if they think it through and kind of write it down, make up a security assessment plan. That's really what threat and vulnerability and risk assessments are all about. Those kind of sound like a paperwork exercise, some busy work, that kind of thing. A lot of compliance standards demand that you do that. You should be doing that in your organization, and this is why. Otherwise, you spend attention on things that don't really matter. Well, that's all I got enough on that. I've talked quite a bit, a little bit of opinion there. I appreciate you bearing with me on that. I'm Andy with Cybervenger, and we'll see you the next time.
Thanks for watching. We hope this video has provided valuable information to you. Be sure to share this video with other small business owners to spread the word about the importance of cybersecurity. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you want more information about cybersecurity, visit us at www.cybervenger.com.